Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the BNI Southeast Tennessee podcast today, where we are recording from headquarters.
So it's an office in downtown.
Hey, that counts. That counts.
It counts. Yeah. Okay.
This episode of the BNI Southeast Tennessee podcast is made possible by Superpower Strategies and Beth McClary Walford, helping businesses increase revenue by showing them how to find the right clients, connect with them, and love on them real good. An ideal referral would be a business owner with 0 to 10 sales staff who's frustrated by stagnant growth. Find out how Superpower Strategies and Beth can help you out by scheduling a free consultation. Just go to superpowerstrategies.com, which is linked in the show notes below. All right, so Elaine, we just finished up the walk and talk. We just had the whole episode, and if you haven't seen that episode, then I definitely recommend you going back and checking it out. So I want to know more about nonprofits in BNI. What are some of the success stories you've heard? What are people doing? Why are nonprofits in BNI?
Gosh, so I'm going to take you back and tell you a story.
Okay.
Okay. So when the pandemic hit, and thank goodness the pandemic hit in 2019 and not 1996, or BNI wouldn't exist. The CEO of BNI was amazing that within days he pulled all of us, put us online on a Zoom platform. And in about 6 days, we had trained ourselves, trained the leadership teams, and then went back online. Like, we missed not even an entire week of meetings for our members so they could keep, making money. Mm-hmm. Well, at the time, one of my best friends was working for a nonprofit. And they were just getting ready to do their major grand opening for their new location. And they had this big, huge fundraiser and dinner. And they had to cancel it.
Yikes.
Yeah. And that was her job, was development, bringing in the money. And there was no money to be brought in because they couldn't do events and all the things. And she lost her job. And I thought, oh my gosh, I'm an executive director for the biggest networking organization in the world. There's got to be something that I can do.
Yeah.
And so BNI, on a whole, and then here locally, said, let's help these nonprofits. Let's embrace this. And so we started bringing nonprofit organizations into BNI because they need referrals. Yeah. They need donations. They need volunteers. They need outreach. They need for people to know about them. And here in Chattanooga, per capita, we have more nonprofits than basically any other city. Come on, we're the volunteer state. Yeah. Right?
There you go. Yeah.
So that's how it started. And so we have continued to look at nonprofits like businesses. So we have one nonprofit in our chapters.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. So, okay, you talked about donations. I've heard about like speakers and things like that. Like people can get referrals for speaking gigs?
Yes. Yeah. So, the nonprofits are like, well, how does this work? Well, obviously they can ask for, like, they're having a golf tournament. We had a nonprofit in our chapter, and they did a golf tournament, and, different chapter members became sponsors. Well, that's an easy referral. If you played in the tournament, that's a referral because they got money.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And then, we have another nonprofit that it serves the children of the hospital, right? And so they need volunteers to come into the house and make stuff, like make food and stuff. And so the going rate is $30. And so for each volunteer hour that somebody volunteers, they can use that
Thank you for closed business
for that $30. And then that's a referral as well. And so as time went along, we're like, wait a minute. Some of these nonprofits felt like they're like on an island by themselves. Like I'm in the chapter, and I feel like all I do is ask, give. I don't feel like I'm giving.
Yeah.
So what can we do? And so we created a couple years ago the nonprofit power team. And so we started meeting as a power team, and then as together, collaborative, we were all sharing ideas on what was working in their chapters, what wasn't working, how can we give as well as get, right? It's giver's gain. And that's how the idea of the BNI Walk and Talk emerged.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah. So Walk and Talk went really well.
It did.
Yeah. What can we expect to see next year?
Oh, gosh. I know. So this year, so what we do, for those of you who have not been to a BNI walk and talk, but we have sponsorships. Everyone gets a T-shirt, and we walk down to the Chattanooga Food Bank, or Chattanooga Area Food Bank.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Because they're part of BNI. Hang out, mingle, and network. Well, this year we did an added twist, and you got what we call our BNI Beningo card. And then you had to fulfill different things and get 3 in a row or fill the card up.
Yeah.
And it might have been meet somebody new, learn something about a nonprofit, just have fun, meet a new friend, actually schedule a one-to-one. Yeah. And then we gave away a prize. So that was the added element this year. So, I don't want to release yet.
Okay.
Next year. But yeah,
but we should be on the lookout for sure.
On the lookout. We'll do another walk and talk, and it was a great day.
Cool. Any closing thoughts for nonprofits who are thinking about BNI and assuming that there's no way that there's a place for them to fit?
Yeah, I would definitely, of course the answer is always no unless you ask.
Yes.
But as a nonprofit, we have had so many people that it has just really made a huge difference for them. And so I would just encourage you to be a part of it. We've got a nonprofit that, because of their partnership with BNI, they were able to open up a food and clothing pantry in one of the local schools.
Cool.
Yes, because the people in the chapter rallied and were able to help them create that. And then there's just been so many great stories like that. Like the one nonprofit that I was mentioning about going in and cooking food, they didn't have anybody to come in and cook for these families who were staying there. So if it wouldn't have been for BNI, they would have had to called in, some fast food or something for them.
Right.
And instead they were able to get a home cooked meal. So there's lots of great things that happen through the partnerships with the nonprofits.
Very cool. And I think I called that one last thing, but I have one last thing.
Okay.
If you're a chapter, right, and you don't have a nonprofit, I mean, how can we find these people?
Well, to me, that's the easy part. Because look at your checkbook. Who are you already donating money to?
Sure.
What causes are you already supporting? If that's something that's important to you and you're already giving to that organization, then ask them to become a partner with you and become a member of your chapter.
Cool. This podcast is produced by Chattanooga Podcast Studios, helping businesses and organizations make a deeper connection with their audience through the art of podcasting. An ideal referral for me would be a professional organization with a state or national presence. You can get in touch with me, Michael Crosa, by going to chatpod.com. That's chat with 2 T's, like Chattanooga, which is linked in the show notes below.
Yeah.
Well, that's great advice.
Thank you, Michael.
Awesome. Well, this has been another great episode of the BNI Southeast Tennessee podcast. Thank you so much, Elaine.
Thank you.
Yeah. And thanks for listening, everyone. And Elaine, I'm a new dad. I hear you've got a dad joke for me.
I do have a dad joke for you. And I have to admit, this one's not mine. I have to give credit where credit is due.
Okay, fair enough.
This came from Mighty Dog Roofing.
Okay, shout out.
Yeah, there you go. So the joke is, do you know why roofers are so focused?
Well, so they don't fall, but what? And tell me.
Because they're shingle-minded.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.